What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And the market in itself is very strong, but in particular, there are big tech stocks that just keep pushing on the gas. Today, you had Apple and essentially Amazon leading the pack. They were making some parabolic moves today, essentially holding up the market, while a lot of your mid caps, your Teslas, your Facebooks, even Microsoft a little bit started selling, but still holding. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in the overnight session. Catalyst right now being that we have possibly a new chair announcement coming in the next coming days into the weekend. We have to see what happens there. We have holidays coming up. We have actual option expiration is tomorrow. And then we have, we're a month out from debt ceiling issues and debt ceiling talks again. So we need to be mindful of that. I think the debt ceiling stuff is still too far out to really worry about that. I think we still got another week or two of possible good movement to the upside before selling. But we could also sell off. So right now we're kind of in a very difficult position here. I mean, even if you look at the SPX, we are hitting a ceiling here. And we have definitely tried. I can actually see this selling overnight and possibly, I actually thought we were going to sell today, to be honest. This came down quite quick. I know there was news today that came out. Fed's been speaking essentially all week. I don't know what exact news it was that dropped this, but one of the Fed members was talking about something specific. I think it was rate raises or something like that. Caused this panic selling very fast in the beginning of the day, which obviously didn't stop Amazon. Amazon just been going straight up all day. But so SPX, again, interesting spot. The daily, honestly, what I can actually see happening here is possibly another sell-off, possibly tomorrow and going into Monday, at least down to this daily support, the 4640. I think you could see a strong possibility. Build some more consolidation, actually touch that EMA, and then jet from there. I think that's why we might be grinding here through essentially the past couple of days. There's been a lot of grinding on the index, where essentially everything's been selling off, but you got a lot of big tech names that are just running. So Bitcoin in itself, not doing so hot. It's at 57. I myself have taken some off this. We definitely want it to bounce off the 50. We might actually start getting some a bigger pullback because we had this massive move here. And even if you look at the Fibonacci's on Bitcoin from the base to the peak here, I mean, you could still sell all the way down to the 51 and get a bounce and continue up. So that's a possibility. I know a lot of people have been discussing that possibility, that that movement would still be considered bullish because it's still, I mean, it's still be a higher low, to be honest, especially after that parabolic move. We didn't even get a pullback on this, and this pullback was very slight. So again, I'm not too concerned about this. I did take some risk off. I want this to actually start selling off so that I could pick some up further down and then start moving up. So we have to see how that works out. But Bitcoin in itself is, you have to see there. Again, there's a lot of talk about regulation and stuff, mainly next year. I know they want to get something out this year, but we're going to have to see. I think ultimately the mass adoption, inflation was the biggest driver of this thing. And then you had Yellen come out the other day. That's when we really started to sell, especially right here. Yellen came out talking about that inflation wasn't going to be a big concern in Q2 of next year. So that just essentially caused us to start selling off. Again, major driver. This is inflation scare, which is ultimately drove us up this way. So we want to again, I'm not too concerned yet. We still got quite a little ways. I think we could even possibly sell down to 48 and still be pretty clean from that point. But definitely something to keep an eye on. Tesla on the daily still looks really good. Wanted it down a little bit further here at the 1053 mark. Maybe tomorrow we might get a little bit of selling because we did get this break of this wedge, but we didn't really retest anything. So I could possibly see that 1054 mark tomorrow is kind of what I'm looking at. If it does hit there, I'm going to try to take a position on this for a longer swing on this. Still very bullish on the market itself. The market itself doesn't seem to be letting up, and you can see that in the price action. If you watch stocks, if you watch candles enough, you can see the price action. You can see the bullishness still in there, but you can also see that there's a lot of hard ceilings here. Tesla's been struggling on this 1105 mark essentially. So, but I think once it does a retest here, which is typical, it doesn't matter really what time frame you see. If it does break above the 20, you're going to get a retest pretty close to that line, and then you'll essentially jet from that point, trying to go back to all-time highs here and see what the possibility is there. I think Tesla still, again, we're getting to that bullish. We're going to kind of get a little bit of a dip here before we have that last oomph going into the new year. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. Not sure when that's going to happen, so just kind of keep an eye. This is why I talk about being very cautious. If you follow me on Twitter, I give morning updates there all the time, and I talk about being very cautious around these levels because that dip is coming. It's not going to just keep going up. Yes, some things will push, but you have to understand that it has to dip at some point, and it's starting to dip a little bit more. We have had some relief here. Again, Tesla had that massive run and then finally sold off. So it might actually consolidate here. Just all depends. Again, we got the chairman announcement coming around some day, any day now. Is it going to be Powell or is it going to be Brainerd? It really just depends. So again, the market I think can still go. So this is why I say stay with FANG, because FANG will have the strength. People will trust their money being in larger corporations as opposed to being the mid cap, small caps. Essentially, the ones more established ones, people will put money. That's why you're seeing these massive runs in Amazon and massive runs in Tesla and your Apples and stuff like that because of that fact. So being said, Apple, massive run today. Kind of looking for a retest of this. Especially since we broke this all-time high here. See if we can retest the 156 mark. Tomorrow, if it does hold above that, I want to try to take a position on this. Again, massive run. People are pumping these things, again, because of inflation concerns. They want big tech. They want the big established corporations. They're not going to take guesses like on your Palantir, even though it's a fantastic company. People want more established companies, so they're going to flood money into these stocks, and that's what we're seeing. That's why we're seeing these big parabolic moves, and so there will be a dip at some point here. I might actually get consolidation on these. So if that's the case, if the market does start to sell, start looking for consolidation on the FANG stocks that are strong and look to get position there. Mind your, again, your levels for me was essentially 157. You want to hold above that. If not, I'm looking for it to come down further. Watch that 20 on daily and see where that comes up to. Facebook. Still really strong, still holding this 339 mark very well. I am in shares in this, so I'm expecting this to start exploding. I've been talking about this for months, and it's been slowly grinding up. After all that bad news, it's slowly trying to chop its way back up. But I really see with the second leg, once everything finishes selling, I think we're going to really get some gas, and this is going to be one of them. I think that's really going to start tearing up fast. So I want to always keep this one on watch. But again, that 339, we want it. The daily is still holding, so as long as it's holding above that 339 tomorrow, that daily candle opens above that. That's where we want it to stay. Microsoft been super strong during this last run. It hasn't hardly even dipped. I don't like playing it though, but at these levels, I think there's other ones that move better than Microsoft at this point. Square, it's holding nicely at that 227 mark. I might actually consider this tomorrow. Again, watching to see what the market does in general, looking for the laggers like this one. I do really like Square. So I want to see laggers. I don't know how this has really been affected by the price of Bitcoin. I know when Bitcoin started making some big bullish runs, it very much had an influence on Square. Now it doesn't seem to be as much, but still something to consider. Google, massive mover today. It is playing range, so look for another possible retest. We're on that 29.57 mark and see if it breaks range, or it could break range up here. Break range over that 300 is if that daily candle holds over 3,000. Consider even possibly taking a position on that to get some price discovery, which is another one I want to watch tomorrow is Google. Your coin MSTR, I'm definitely waiting on to see what happens with Bitcoin. Rivian did hit this 1850 mark, which is the first daily, first bounce. Something to watch. If it holds this tomorrow, it could get a nice rip out of this on the daily, but it definitely has to hold above that. On the hourly, it's below the 200. So definitely want to see what this does. It really just depends on the market and how it is holding up tomorrow and where the money, essentially watch where the flow is going at this point. Unless you are investing, look for something that's a lot more beaten down because a lot of stuff is at high levels here. Roblox finally showed some weakness, but it looks like it's ready to rock again tomorrow. Could be great for a morning scalp in the morning. Might be something I'm going to watch as long as it holds this 125 mark tomorrow. And then essentially that price target to 137 could possibly die. This is where watching price action really matters because when you see it start pulling up, if it starts stalling around these levels, you know that's going for a lower high. So that's why it's always good to learn price action. For me, that's why I always watch the 1 hour candlesticks because I can see price action. I can see where it's getting held up on the candlestick by just watching the movement of the candlestick. So I know a lot of people watch tape and stuff like that. Same kind of thing. It's just a more visual aspect of it. And watching candlesticks for so long, it is. I can definitely see where it's being stalled or shows weakness. Let's see, Amazon, another monster, massive monster day. I didn't even consider this today because I thought it was just going to stay in the range, but it broke essentially that 3,600 mark and is just continuing to rip. Tomorrow again, this would probably be one of the primary ones I'll be watching now that it's actually finally broken out. If we do start selling, I'm looking for that first bounce off this 20. So wherever that 20 on the hourly is lined up, it'd be nice to get another retest of this 3,600. I don't think we're going to sell that much, but something to keep in mind. Shop really struggling. There's a hard ceiling at that 1688 mark. So I don't really know what Shop is going to be able to do at this point. It needs to break that. Shop has had these massive runs. It's played these massive range, to be honest. And then it hits a hard ceiling and it just sells off and doesn't really do much until the next earnings. So I want to always keep this on watch because Shop does have these massive parabolic moves. But it definitely needs to break that ceiling. And I think we're starting to hit that hard ceiling because we've tapped it a couple different times. Third time today with another fail. So NVDA is one. Again, good earnings. And didn't really do much today. It sold off like most chips. Want to see if we can break. If we can break above this 326 mark tomorrow, 327 mark tomorrow, and hold above that. This is why I go off the hourly. If your hourly candle opens above 327, looking for this to go parabolic tomorrow, get back in a price discovery, and I think NVIDIA can definitely do some damage. Fantastic earnings. Airbnb, haven't really played this thing ever since played it from 140 to 160, and then I haven't really been back in this. It's been hovering around that 200. I think once the new year comes around, I think this is really going to start pulling back pretty hard. I don't know where that new base is going to be. Again, next year, that is way far away. There can be all different kinds of other catalysts at that point. But I'm kind of really looking for this to cool off and die down some and rebase before considering Airbnb. I mean, a lot of these big techs are that way. So, and as you can see, most of the market was red. So PayPal is an interesting one. I like that it's holding, although it's starting to break below the 200 mark, which is something I don't like. Something you definitely want to keep on watch. But that's pretty much what I got. I know this video is really long, and it is on a Thursday. And what I normally typically say, I don't really try to keep these short because of the fact that it is a Friday. I don't try to take too much positions into the weekend, especially with the new chair possibly being announced. It could be a catalyst that could sell or drive us. I mean, there's a really strong, I think there's going to be a lot of volatility this weekend if it is announced. And that's my thing is, are you going to take the chance that you're right or incorrect? And it could be a massive positive or a massive negative for you. So in my experience, it's better to just wait, see what happens, come back on Monday, and then take it from there and then take position. If we do gap up, then look for that pullback, because if we gap up, it's going to be big. So there'll be a pretty hefty pullback, and that is when you take position, or it could gap down, hit a really great support. Then you enter on Monday and then play throughout the week. So that's what I'm looking for. I try to be more strategic and not just jump into positions and assume it's going to go one way or the other, because there is no way, even with analysis, with fundamentals, new news can come out and completely change the game, and you don't know what's going to happen from that point. Your charts can be telling you something, and then the news will completely throw it out the window and sell off or go parabolic on you, depending on the position that you are playing. So if you've made it this far, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe. Till next time, I'll see you guys later.